Teddy Feinberg, Brook Stockburger, Teddy and Brook Show. We are here from the Sun News building. We are talking local sports, and we are going to start off by talking about New Mexico State spring football. Brook, go ahead.
Very young team, very important spring because they have a lot of holes to fill, and this will be a chance for the coaches to evaluate a lot of the new guys, see where they're going to put them. But like you were pointing out to me before,
Right.
There's a lot of players that still aren't going to be here till August, so that's going to be hard to say too who's going to play what. But yeah, very important spring for Doug Martin's second year.
25 players signed this offseason, 23 of which are freshmen. They have interesting question marks at quarterback, at running back. Obviously they lost wide receiver Austin Franklin. Their receiving unit is actually pretty experienced. I think their offensive line's relatively experienced, but they have to replace left tackle Devontae Wallace, who is an NFL prospect. Don't forget that. And their defense is brand new. I mean, looking at their spring depth chart, they have 2 returning starters on D from last year on their spring depth chart.
Yeah, it's crazy, and a new defensive coordinator. So there's a lot to learn and a lot for them to get through in spring.
Secondary is really brand new. They always had good talent in the secondary with Dwayne Walker here. Coach Martin's obviously bringing in his own people. And, of course, also they have brought in some very good coaches. They have 2 very experienced coordinators in Larry Coyer on defense and, of course, Greg Brandon, who was here last year on offense. I am a believer that 25% of the game is coaching and 75% is talent. So talent's obviously key in this.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But the talent needs some experience as well. And they're going to be quite inexperienced this year. Experienced at the game of football, obviously. These are people who played well in high school, a lot of these ones coming out.
Right.
But, we're stood on the sideline and got, second string, third string looks in last year in some of the games. But, you're always worried when you say something like 2 starters returning. That really sort of raises your eyebrows a little bit, especially from a team that struggled so much last year.
It's a concern. Obviously, you hit the nail right in the head. They got to get experience. They got to get seasoning. They have to improve as the year goes on. If they do those things, that will be key. Definitely a lot of youth, a lot of young. The schedule is a lot of youth, a lot of inexperience. Schedule is much more manageable. Last year they played an independent schedule. This year they're in the Sun Belt. That's a plus, but it still could be an interesting year. Let's move on to Aggie Baseball and Aggie Softball. These are 2 teams kind of going in different directions. Aggie Baseball has lost, they've lost 5 straight. They lost 2 to UNM. They lost 3 to Sacramento State. They haven't just lost, they've gotten walloped. Aggie Softball has won 4 straight. They beat Seattle last week in an open WAC play 3 straight times, and they walloped UTEP here.
Yeah, it's kind of disappointing. I thought Aggie Baseball, the WAC was set up for them because it's a little softer than some of the Auburn conference they've been in, some of the WAC teams they lost. But yeah, they're I think 10-18 as we film this, coming off a loss to the in-state Lobos, which you hate to lose to them in any sport.
No question.
So this is a team that's struggling heading into conference play.
Yeah, and I think the thing is with them is, again, it's a similar thing to what we were talking about in the first segment. They actually replaced a lot. They had to replace their entire pitching staff, basically, from last year. They're very young, and they're just not playing well. Hopefully they can get on track. They go to Northern Colorado this weekend, then they go to Air Force, and then the plan is for them to go to North Dakota. Northern Colorado and North Dakota are both in the WAC, and from what I understand, they're in warm weather regions. That's a joke.
Yeah, exactly. It can get a bit chilly up there.
Should be nice and cold.
Yeah. And it's always hard. A lot of good arms are in the pros. That's why college is, it's, if you get a good pitcher in college, you hold on to them as long as possible. Hopefully they give that 3 years before they go into the draft. But, that's always an issue, and we're seeing a lot of runs scored.
A lot of runs scored, and their offense isn't really stringing a lot together, so it's kind of the perfect storm. The only thing that really matters for them is the WAC tournament, but they have to qualify for the WAC tournament. To my knowledge, right now, the top 6 teams in the WAC qualify for the postseason tournament. There's not going to be an at-large bid in the league for the NCAA tournament, so you got to win the WAC postseason tournament. Prep baseball, prep softball, wide open in the prep District 3 5A baseball ranks. You have Oñate. They have some talent. Cruces High coming off a very good year last year. They bring back some players. Mayfield always seems to have some talent. Gadsden is always a very hard-playing, tough group. They could be in the mix as well. Don't really know a ton about Alamogordo, but I think it's anyone's game. Softball's interesting because you have Cruces High that won the state tournament last year. They returned a lot of players that have a ton of talent on that team. Oñate has a 15-1 record this year. So those 2 teams really could be jockeying for position. Of course, you have Mayfield, you have Gadsden, you have Alamo as well. Alamogordo's had a very good team the last couple of years as well, so keep your eye on that. Brooke, let's turn our attention nationally. NCAA Final Four. We have Florida, UConn. We have Wisconsin, Kentucky. What's your feelings here?
Florida. Write it down, carve it in stone, shout it to the heavens. Billy Donovan and the Gators are taking it. The only reason I'm saying that is because that's the only team I have left from my bracket. So they're just so experienced, and they haven't lost in such a long time. They just feel like the team of destiny.
Going into the tournament, them and Arizona seem to be the top 2 teams, honestly. And I think that you would be hard pressed not to pick Florida. Although Kentucky is playing the type of basketball you think, right place, right time, right team. They're hot. They might win. Wisconsin had a great win over U of A. UConn's been playing good basketball too. I would take Florida. I think it's going to be Florida, Kentucky. And then we'll see where the chips fall after that. I think Florida clearly is the better of the 2 teams, although Kentucky is the hot team right now and really playing good basketball at the right time of year. That win they had over Wichita State, I thought, really propelled them.
Yeah, and that's a team very young also, and a lot of freshmen, and they're finally clicking. People kept waiting for them to click all year long, and it wasn't quite happening. But they're clicking at the right time, the NCAA tournament.
People say they're inexperienced. I don't think you're inexperienced at this point of the year.
Yeah, if you're in the Final Four.
You're not inexperienced
Exactly,
anymore.
you've played a whole season.
You've played a lot of big games.
Yeah.
This was a good episode.
Yeah, I think so.
Good.
No pizza, but
I'm starving.
Me too. I had donuts earlier.
At Teddy Feinberg on Twitter. Follow me. Follow him too, at B Stockburger. Have a great week. See ya. Bye.